We are now going to have an opportunity to hear about the potential for change from the Biden administration. I mentioned at the top that the new president has attracted enormous talent into his White House and into his administration more broadly. And we have this afternoon Sonia Aggarwal with us. She's a senior advisor to the president for climate policy and innovation. She is new in that job, of course, and had previously been co-founder and vice president of Energy Innovation Policy and Technology, a think tank focused on decarbonization strategies. She'd also previously managed global research for the ClimateWorks Foundation and has been an advisor to clean tech startup companies. So it's really a great joy to have Sonia with us. Again, we're going to ask her to give us 8 or 9, maybe 10 minutes of opening thoughts, and then we'll move to a question and answer conversation. So please do post your questions in the Q&A function on your screen.
Thank you, Dan, and thanks to everyone for having me at this impressive group of folks who are focused on really helping to improve our society from many different angles. So really, really happy to be here and to see so many universities and research institutions coming together to focus on solving the most important social challenges of our time. So I guess I'll just start off by saying I had a chance to look at the Zero Carbon Action Plan, for example, that I know many of you worked on, and I really thought it was an impressive body of work with a lot of really good ideas on policies that can deliver real world emission reductions, and just wanted to start off by saying thank you for that important contribution to advancing the field in this area. So just for some thoughts on kind of what's happening for us, as I have recently joined the team on the Domestic Climate Policy Office inside the White House. So this is the office of the President's advisor, Gina McCarthy, who prior led the Environmental Protection Agency during the Obama administration and is now advising the president on all matters related to climate. So just at the top, kind of return to science and research-based policymaking is a top priority of the Biden-Harris administration. And we recognize that there are a lot of areas where the federal government can do better in this regard, including some of the topics that I was hearing just now being raised by you, Dan, as well as Anikit in the last session, as well as many other areas where science and research-based thinking is really important for us to be integrating into policymaking. So I just want to say clearly to this group that the door is back open for the research community to help inform good policymaking, and there's new leadership in Washington, and it is committed to using that science and research to inform policies that really can help people and can really make progress on some of our most important societal goals. In addition, kind of more specifically in the area of climate, we really need this group and others in your field to help us succeed in addressing the climate crisis, because it is really an issue that we need to move with speed on, and we need to move at scale. And in order to actually get ourselves onto an emission reduction trajectory that is consonant with what's required to avoid some of the most dangerous impacts of climate change, we really need to be moving very quickly across all of the different sectors at this point. And in each of the policies that we put forward and each of the markets as they start to transform, it is going to be extremely important for us to be thinking about people and impacts on communities, and ensuring that there are really good jobs associated with the changes that we'll be seeing in our economy. So as you likely know, the president has laid out a very firm goal of net zero emissions by 2050, which is really an amazing thing if you think about it, because if you start to go sector by sector looking at the technology timelines and capital stock turnover inside each of these sectors, that really leads us to near-term action. So it's not just a long-term goal with, he will no longer be the president in 2050, but it really implicates near-term action at scale. In addition to that longer-term goal, he has also set forward a goal for zero carbon electricity by 2035. And that is 15 years away. And so really thinking about how we actually start to move in that direction right now will be essential to having a chance to meet that goal. So to make these things happen, it is really a sector by sector approach that needs to be taken. And that is, I think, quite well aligned with how you have organized that zero carbon action plan and how a lot of folks have been thinking in the research community about how to make all of this happen. And we recognize that the federal government has jurisdiction to put some of these policies in place, but it'll also require continued leadership from state and local governments, as well as from the private sector as well. I know that a lot of you are already engaging in some of these policy forums at different levels of government, but I just always want to put in a plug for not forgetting about the public utilities commissions and the city councils across America, because these are places where a lot of change can happen if the status quo is challenged, and they're places where we really can be putting policies in place that will not only drive down our emissions and improve the health in our communities, but also make sure that jobs are happening in each of our communities across America. So I guess there's a couple of more minutes, so maybe I'll just turn to a couple of thoughts on the sector by sector approach. So from a research perspective, it seems like it is quite clear, at least clearer than some of the other sectors, what we need to do in the power sector. The technologies are pretty well established. There are some tried and true policies that we've seen actually really create impact in the electricity sector at the state level. And research in this area might focus on things like quantifying some of those real world impacts based on the policies that have already been passed. Also thinking about, on a future looking perspective, what some of the benefits might be of adopting these policies, or hastening the timelines of the decarbonization of the electricity sector. And I guess in transport, it's somewhat similar, perhaps on a slightly less real world experience, but also I think some of the policy mechanisms are pretty clear, and the technologies are becoming clearer all the time. But I would say, in contrast, in the building sector, another important area for emission reductions and addressing our climate challenge, there are still really tough challenges on how we scale buildings policies to meet the challenge and address the millions of buildings across America that already are standing, and think about how we try to address some of the energy use in those buildings to help folks out with making sure that bills are more affordable while also reducing the pollution impacts from those buildings. So I think there's quite a lot more work that could be done there in buildings, and not to leave out the industrial and material sectors. Those are even more open fields, I would say. And we really need more research and study of real world experience to help us understand the suite of available technologies, as well as the approaches that could be taken by policymakers to try to advance cleaner industries. That is a huge area that I think requires a lot more attention. It's a huge source of emissions, one of the largest sources of emissions, and I think we have a long way to go before we have quite as many options right there in front of us to move on. And then, of course, there's huge error bars around the emissions impacts of land use and agriculture, which I think would be other areas where I think a lot of research could could help, including also on the solution side for making sure that we have all the creative ideas that we can on the land use and agriculture and forest side of the equation. So all this is just to say, I can wrap up by there's no shortage of work to be done here to contain dangerous greenhouse gas emissions and avoid the worst impacts of climate change. We have to move quickly. We have to move in every single sector. And this is nothing short of a societal scale transformation. And we need all of your help to capture this opportunity to support good jobs and build a bunch of clean stuff that can replace the polluting stuff at scale and quickly. So we welcome your ideas, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to connect with this group today.
Sonia, thank you very much. And you're helping to redefine the administration's all of government approach to climate change into an even broad all of society approach. And I think you'll find a lot of takers in this group for that extension to all of us to play a role and to support your efforts. We do have a couple of questions coming in, so I want to share those with you and invite your comment. From David K, can you add nuance beyond perhaps domestic, international, to what would characterize the relationship between the work of your team led by Gene McCarthy and the John Kerry Special Envoy team? I think people are still trying to understand how that works in practice and how you operationalize it.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So we are working hand in glove together. I would say it's a lockstep kind of team. However, the team that I am on, that Gina McCarthy leads, is very focused on the domestic actions that we can take to really move the needle across all of the sectors here in the United States. That has to, of course, be done in coordination with the international team, who is thinking about how we work with other countries to advance kind of overall emission reductions, but is less focused on which policies and levers we can use across the federal government here in the United States to not only reduce emissions, but also ensure that we're creating opportunities for good jobs and improving health in our communities, and making sure that we're taking care of all of the folks across our nation that may be affected by this transition. So that's kind of how we've divided up the work. Although I would say, you know, from the all intents and purposes, we are working very closely together with them, as well as actually with many, many other branches of the federal government who in this administration happily have brought in folks who are experts on climate and clean energy policy. So it's really been fantastic to come in from having been on the outside before and seeing now just the level of expertise and sophistication across all of the agencies on climate, and just the opportunity that that creates for us to truly do this whole of government approach has just been very exciting.
Thank you, Sonia. We have a couple of other questions coming in. Would you share your insights on all of state level climate action plans and how you see federal and state efforts working together and interacting?
Sure, yeah. So first off, in this realm, I would just acknowledge that states really have been the leaders in the clean energy transformation that has been happening, especially over the last 4 years, but really for a long time. And states have quite a lot of jurisdiction, especially over the electricity sector in particular. Hence my nod to the state public utilities commission earlier, commissions, I should say. So it will remain really important for the federal government to be working closely with states on climate and clean energy policies. But I think trying to both reflect the leadership that has been shown in a lot of states, while also advancing policies that can help kind of bring along the entire nation on this transformation, will be an important role of the federal government. But again, you know, for any of these policies to work, this is one especially on the electricity side. And also, to a large extent, we have one big car market, one big truck market. We have a huge integrated grid that we could use to integrate a bit better. So it will always be, kind of in the true spirit of the way that we've founded this nation, a collaboration between states and the federal government.
Sonia, thank you. In the interest of time, I'm going to combine a couple of questions here, but several people are asking about the kind of incentives you imagine the Biden administration pushing to really drive progress on climate change. In particular, do you anticipate an effort to get legislative authority for carbon changes in some form? Do you think there would likely be changes in tax credits, perhaps for clean energy broadly, solar power, wind power? And what about incentives for electric cars?
Yeah, so a lot of these things go pretty quickly to what is being discussed in Congress. Of course, the president did campaign on the idea of building back better. We are not just going to recover from our current crisis in the way that we had been operating before. We have to build back better. And there is, of course, a forthcoming package that is still under discussion around how exactly we will do that, which will include some more investments in the clean energy sectors and related infrastructure. So I think the details of all of that are still being worked out right now. So I probably can't speak to the specifics that were inside that question, but definitely generally thinking about how incentives can help us make sure that we are building back in a way that is putting us on a better trajectory for emissions, but also ensuring that there are good jobs created as we build back.
So we're going to run out of time, Sonia, but I'll give you a couple of things to answer quickly, and then maybe you can pick up with a few people in the Q&A written form after we finish. But Mark Ritchie of Global Minnesota is organizing a global expo focused on the Sustainable Development Goals and proposing that for Minnesota in the year 2027. And he's interested in whether there's anyone with that sustainability agenda in the Biden administration that he should engage with to think about how to expand the learning opportunity that a global expo on the SDGs would offer.
Yeah, well, let us follow up separately on that so that I can make sure he's connected with the right folks.
All right, that sounds good. And then Asma Latif is asked about the UN Food Systems Summit that's coming later this year. And of course, that presents opportunities for healthier food, more sustainable food systems, and in that regard, addressing climate change. And the question is who in the administration is leading the process, and then will there be opportunities for community engagement and contributions of thinking?
Yeah, that's another one where probably a little bit of follow-up will be a good idea. That wasn't a meeting that I was tracking. However, I am quite sure that the special presidential envoy on climate's team, Secretary Kerry's team, is probably following that.
Well, we will have to leave it there because we're on a tight schedule. But Sonia, thank you so very much. It's a joy to hear about all that is going on, and frankly, to see the energy that you and others are bringing to this agenda after really many of us worrying that the United States was sitting on the sidelines while critical decisions were being made and time was passing. So thank you again for your leadership. Please pass our appreciation on to Gina McCarthy and the entire team. And we look forward to carrying this conversation forward with you in the months ahead.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.